Good, good afternoon, YouTube. Here on YouTube, this is This is an exposed video about the court case against Stephen Lapradd on the 12th of September. I'm having to redo a video of the devil's getting my computer, trying to keep the message from going out, but it's gonna go out. So I want to do this video about the 12th of September. I'm not gonna go back into July 15th because I did a separate video on that, and that was with Judge Giles, not Judge Gerber, but Judge Giles. I know when I did the written complaints about it, it's like for Judge Giles, but it's actually Judge Giles, not Judge Gerber. Although that's what it said on the plate on that day. I think that's just to throw you off. It was to keep you feeling his true identity, but I got his true identity and I got his true name. So with that being said, with no further ado, I wanted to talk about the court case, the case on the 12th of September. It was initially scheduled for August 6th, but it was rescheduled to the 12th. We're going to talk about the judge, we're going to talk about why this happened the way it did, we're going to talk about the proper way of suing people, and we're going to talk about also the unfairness in the case too as well, the unfairness of the judge in this case as well, the charlatans in this case, which was the two judges, Giles, Judge Rowe was the one on the 12th of September, his previous one, and Stephen, I think he goes by Lance Lapradd, but it's Stephen Lapradd, the one I've been suing, got several mugshots online, and the address of 914 Tazewell Avenue in Roanoke, Virginia. There's A is the one with the only one person lives there. It's the one studio or room, I'm not really sure. B is the one with the kitchen upstairs, way upstairs in the back. And the hall is to the left with the 4 rooms, one on the side, 2 straight ahead. The lighting, there's no light in the hallway, which is terrible. The stairs go down to the emergency door. I've never seen a place you can enter from the outside. It's locked on the inside, but you can enter from the outside. C is the one to the left of the place. It's to the left of 914 Tazewell. I believe it's about 6 or 7 rooms. I'm not really too sure about that. It's been there since 1890, and you just got the wrong person running that place. And Steve Lapradd is the wrong person running that place. So do want to keep that in mind. Do want to read a scripture. And if this doesn't go out, then another one to be made as well. This needs to go out. Listen in silence before me, your lands by the sea. Bring your strongest arguments. And now come into the court. Your court is ready to hear your case. That's Isaiah 41:1. I wanted to talk about the case a little. I'm no longer on the case. And no, I do not live in Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia, no more. I think gave Roanoke, Virginia up a long time ago. But I think I talked about how I met Stephen, and that's all in the last video. And how I met Chris, which was in the last video, so I'm not going to go into those details no more. But I'm going to talk about the case. And this is what Judge Rowe asked me on the 12th. When I came in, Stephen's lawyer was sitting there, Aaron Houchens. I know he was there to represent Stephen, but I don't really understand why he was there anyway, to be honest. I wasn't talking to him anyway. I was talking to the judge, Charlatan, the one I kept bickering back and forth with about the case, because I just thought it was so ridiculous how these judges, they ask for the evidence, and those of us that had the evidence and have the evidence they still don't look at the evidence. But he pretty much explained to me why he couldn't do anything about the case or look at it. But yet, why have somebody speak about it if that's the case? And he did that, wasting my time. And yes, I did say a few words to him because I thought it was ridiculous, and I thought he was too. But Judge Giles any other judge from seeing that case. That's why that case was handled the proper way. Judge Giles never looked at all the evidence. Judge Giles never really took the chance to really examine the case, and he did not have a clear picture of what happened. Because if he had a true clear picture of what happened, he would have saw it the right way, and he didn't. And as I told Judge Ruby, you're not much different from him. He asked me why I didn't appear to Judge Ruby, and I told him I didn't want Judge Giles to be the judge, because if I had appeared, which I could and would have, but I didn't. I didn't have to anyway, because Judge Giles would have on the case. I didn't want him in. He caused enough damage. So with that being said, after that, he asked me about the 6 days, about the eviction. I pretty much told him the rules later. I told him that Stephen did an illegal eviction. That's a lockout, and that's illegal. And laws were changed. Stuff was sitting in the backyard, and that I was suing him for that because that's not the proper way to evict people. You don't evict people that way. You don't evict people that way. Only the sheriff does that. It doesn't matter if it's a room house, a hotel, or a shoebox apartment. So with that being said, that's what led to all of that. And this rent was due on the 6th. It was a room furniture room. They had a rocking chair, tall little sitting table, nice, to the side, push it to the wall. A dark cabinet where you put your clothes in, a little clothes cabinet, small little rectangular dining table, another long table with a long brass table, very nice, with a big screen TV. I don't watch TV, and a hole in the wall. And this place is pretty good for traveling, but it wasn't that bad, and I could have found a better place than that, and I would have went forward, and I would never rent to that Charlatan again. So with that being said, when I walked out of there, I said, they'll give me an accounting before God one day. And they will. It looked like he got by with that, but he didn't. Because he still had to pay that lawyer to represent him, and that lawyer was not going to represent him without paying him. So here are the proper ways, especially for an eviction case. I'm going to talk about eviction cases. I'm not a legal person. I'm not an attorney. I'm none of that. This is not to bash. This is not to scold, as I should have said earlier in the video. But I'm just giving you the truth and the take on the video. On the case of what happened, what really happened. This is what you should do yourself when you file an eviction. If it's a lockout like this was for non-payment of rent and changing locks, you need to file a tenant petition of relief. An illegal eviction for an illegal eviction. Since this was a lockout, since the laws were changed, stuff was put out in the backyard, and anything else illegally done, like turning off the lights, etc. Tenant petition of relief should be filed. After you file a tenant petition of relief, that's the title, not a warrant of indebtedness. That's like owing somebody money. No, that's not what that is. That's not what a tenant petition of relief is. What you should do next, file it. Whether it's the management company, you need to sue the management company if it's a management company. If it's a private landlord, which was Stephen Lapradd, for an example, you need to sue Stephen Lapradd. Secondly, you need to have pictures of the locks being changed, or a new lock on the door, picture of that, picture of your clothes sitting out there in the backyard, whether they're in bags or thrown out there. There needs to be a picture of you. There needs to be a picture of your car, you loaded in your car, and there needs to be pictures of where the clothes are now. Any damages of any kind to your stuff, there needs to be pictures of that too. A lot of people don't know that. There need to be pictures of that too. Also, there needs to be dates, there needs to be times, there needs to be proof of your phone records, there needs to be video, there needs to be any audio that you got. You need to have that too. That's how you sue the land. And I recommend you get proper counsel, because them judges in Virginia, that's all. Yeah. I'm not saying there's some good ones there, but I didn't come across any there when I during my time there. So this is not to the good ones, but these charlatans like Judge Giles and Judge Rowe and any of these other charlatans in Virginia, this is for you. And Stephen and Chris. Houghton, the one that lied. They all lied. So with that being said, that's another reason I didn't do an appeal. Because I didn't want Judge Giles in my case, and I tried to tell Judge Rowe that. Judge Rowe tried to paint a picture for Judge Giles. That's why I kept cutting him off. I said, he's not a good judge. I said, and you're not much different from him. And then he's like, there's nothing I can do. And I said, you already said that. I said, I heard you. You already said that. That's why I'm doing this exposure video, because this is also what happened. And this is not mentioned. No judge wanted to see the case because it felt like Judge Giles' decision on the 15th of July, when it was filed as a warrant of indictment, was accurate, which it wasn't. That's why no judge wanted to. They didn't. That's why that happened the way it did also. And another reason why it happened the way that case didn't go the way it could have been expected to is because it wasn't God's will. The Lord did tell me that before. He told me that last time. So with that being said, I should have learned to listen to that. But he still needed me to go out there and file. And only God knows why. It was meant for me to go out there and file again. But that's what he wanted me to do and needed me to do, and that's what I did, because I wasn't afraid to fight those devils. Overall, they still got to give accounting before God. Stephen still got to pass and leave this earth. Chris got to still pass and leave this earth. Judge Giles still have to pass and leave this earth. And Judge Rowe does too. And any of these other charlatans do as well too. They'll still be judged by the Most High anyway for their deeds here in the world. So that's that story. So just remember, dates and times when you're suing somebody, sue them if you're suing them directly. Pictures, text messages, your phone records with their telephone, date, times, and all that on it too. That is real. So that is that, people, and that's why I did want to put that out there. That's why I did want to put that out there, and that's why I did. And that's why I did want to just record this exposure video for that. I do need to read one last scripture. God stands at the door in heaven's court. He pronounces judgment on the judges. How long will you refuse to listen to the evidence, like Judge Giles did in row 2? How long will you shower favor on the wicked? Give fair judgment to the poor man, the afflicted fatherless, the destitute, rescue the poor, and raise the evil man. That is Psalms 82, verses 1 through 4. So do keep that in mind. Alright, people, that's all for that. I don't overdo my houses personally because I like my own space. I like my own restroom, my own kitchen. I shouldn't see naked men. I shouldn't have to go into a restroom behind other people. I like my own privacy because I like my own privacy. I was in a different season of my life, and that's why I chose another room in this. But the one I was in prior to that, in Roanoke with Tim, I did a separate video on Tim or Uric. I could deal with Tim a lot better, and I would use him as a reference rather than that charlatan. But other than that, I wouldn't rent to Tim again either. But I wouldn't rent to none of them out there again. To none of them, because they're charlatans. I didn't come across no good landlord NBA. So with that being said, that was the story behind that. Don't move to Roanoke. Don't move to Roanoke, Virginia. And if you do, just know what you're doing. I studied Roanoke long before, so that's why I wasn't a bit surprised. That's why I wasn't a bit surprised at all. So do keep that in mind. Do be blessed, be encouraged. Shalom and goodbye. Brother Wise is outside.